Hello everybody, it's JD, and I'm coming to you with a new idea. Have you ever read a book from a country other than your own? Well, I have. I've read some books from, I think, a total of 5 countries only. No, that's not true. I only own books from 5 countries. I've read books from other countries as well. But today I want to start something called the International Book Tag. So what you need to do is go through your collection and find books from different countries and then make a video telling us all about them. So I'm going to show you 5 books from 5 countries. First up is a book from Canada, my home country. And this is Stephen Erickson's Gardens of the Moon. It's the first book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series, and it's really a great book. I enjoyed it a lot. I have several of the books in the series. Of course, I need to buy more. But the world is very unique. I haven't seen anything like it. It's very well developed, and it follows many different characters over several books. The first book centers on a few characters, but the second book, only 2 or 3 characters continue. However, I believe that they keep going back to the original characters, and basically, you have a huge world with a lot of characters. It's a little difficult to get used to at first, but it's just great. It's very serious, very dark, and also there's a lot of battle tactics and things like that. It's a lot of fun. Next, we're on to the United States. And I don't think this book needs any introduction. I'm sure you all know it. And it is George R.R. Martin's A Game of Thrones. Do I really need to describe this book? Well, it's a fantasy. It's very political in nature. There's a lot of war, a lot of death, a huge amount of death, a lot of sex, a lot of violence. It's really dark, and I think it portrays war a lot more accurately than a lot of fantasy novels do. There's a lot of death that goes on in war. It's not all glorious, it's dirty. And that's the way it is in this book. And of course, this is only the first book. And I have not seen the TV series yet. I'll eventually get into it. Next up is the UK. I could go right into Lord of the Rings. I could choose that. But I'm going to show you something a little bit different. It is by Tolkien. But this is the Silmarillion. In a way, you could say that this is a kind of Bible for Lord of the Rings, or Middle-earth. It's basically not a novel. It shows you the history and the mythology of this, the Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth. And it's very interesting. You can't go into this book thinking it's going to read like a novel, because it doesn't. It's totally different, but it's very intriguing. I definitely recommend it. If you have read Lord of the Rings, read this. You get to find out the whole background, how the world started, how where all the races came from, and you learn something. Next, we're going to Greece, but more specifically, ancient Greece. This book, I'm sure you've probably heard of. It's not by an author, it's by a poet. Very, very long time ago. That is Homer's The Iliad. The Odyssey, I think, is a bit more famous, but this comes before the Odyssey. This is about the battle at Troy. But no, it does not include the Trojan horse. That's in a totally different book, and not by Homer. But this is one of the most difficult books I have ever read. The style, It's a kind of epic poem. It's not prose. What I found interesting is how Homer used adjectives, a lot of adjectives, and repetition. So many things were repeated. They would attach these adjectives to people's names, titles. Very strange to read. Not easy at all. And finally, it's a book from my, I guess you can say, my adopted home, Japan. This is actually a very classic folktale called Momotaro. As you can see, it's not in English. I've read this book, yes. I've read it in Japanese. I've never read it in English, actually. But this is from a Japanese graded reader series. It's easy Japanese. You need to know between 1,500 and 2,500 words in Japanese. I can get through this fairly easily. I can understand it, no problem. To be honest, I have never read a Japanese novel. I probably should, and I would probably read Haruki Murakami book first. So yeah, I will eventually read a Japanese novel. But I have a lot of these graded readers. I should probably read them. So those are the international books I have read. Now it's your turn. What I'd like you to do is, of course, make a video. Find your international books by authors from different countries, and talk about them on your video. I'm going to tag 5 people. It's up to you if you want to do this. You don't have to. And if I don't name you, you can do it anyways. So, if you're watching, go ahead and do it. So, I'm going to tag these 5 people. So, first is Montezumama, and Peter Likes Books, and Alf Books, Crystal the Bookworm, and finally, Young Adult Books Forever. She was actually the first person to welcome me to BookTube, so I'm tagging you. So, thank you for watching, and of course, leave a comment below. You can, if you don't want to make a video, you can just say what you've read below. Also, please click on the thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you for watching.